No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, January 18th in Fresno, California. AEW's first time in that city. They have a great barbecue restaurant. I'm not sure if it's still open, but right next to the Save Mart Center, there's a pretty awesome barbecue restaurant that I had back in the day when I was in Fresno. Anyways, shout out to the early birds. Ken terminated, DQ, Joey Perez, Randy Engel, Darren G, David Estevez, K-Dog 28, Eric, Don Bowen, Michael Wayne, Gomer Kyle. Thank you all. I thought it was Ken terminates DQ. Now it's Ken terminated DQ. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you all tuning in early. Let's get right to this recap. We had a graphic at the beginning of the show for Jay Briscoe, who unfortunately passed away on Tuesday in a car accident. Very tragic, very sad to hear that news. Only 38 years old. Him and his brother Mark, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Just a huge shocker. His two daughters were in the truck and they were seriously injured. Just a very sad story all around. AEW with the graphic at the beginning, and several wrestlers were paying tribute to him during the show. They were wearing armbands. Tony Khan did announce that after Dynamite, which is right now, as I'm recording this, they are doing a special tribute afterwards, which will be up on the Ring of Honor YouTube channel for everybody to watch. Our first match of the evening was Orange Cassidy defending the All-Atlantic Championship against Jay Lethal. All-Atlantic Championship, don't really care about it at this point, but it is around. It's still a thing. The stipulation of this match was that Jeff Jarrett and company could not interfere in the match or Sanjay Dutt would be fired. Jarrett, Big Singh, and Sanjay Dutt himself came down through the crowd. Danhausen was dressed up as an usher, asking them for tickets. You had the best friends coming in at ringside, sitting down, watching the match. You had some comedy here. Orange Cassidy did a dive to Jay Lethal, but then Lethal got the upper hand for a while, sent Orange Cassidy into the ring post, and then there was more comedy where Lethal went up to the top rope and Orange Cassidy would roll to another corner of the ring. So Lethal went to the other top rope, same thing. Orange Cassidy just kept rolling from corner to corner. And then we had some shenanigans on the outside of the ring. Jeff Jarrett tried to hand Jay Lethal his guitar while the referee was distracted, but Danhausen got the guitar, ran away with it, and then back in the ring, Orange Cassidy got the win with the Orange Punch. I thought the match was entertaining. It was what it was. So I don't necessarily agree with Matthew, but I just don't care about the title. It's very much a prelim title at this point. What's the point of having this title? I suppose it's so an AEW title can be defended at live events. The match was fine for what it was. It was a comedy match. And afterwards, Satnam Singh got in the ring because he was going to attack the best friends as they were celebrating. However, Sanjay Dutt stopped him. I thought that Jarrett and company could not interfere during the match. I thought after the match it was fair game, but I guess I was wrong. Sanjay Dutt was worried he would get fired if anybody got attacked. Jeff Jarrett wanted to use his guitar, and once again, Sanjay Dutt stopped him. We had our next match of the evening, which was Top Flight versus the Young Bucks. I was entertained by the match, and I did think that there was a possibility that we would see Top Flight win because the Young Bucks are in a trios group now. So it's not really significant if they win a tag team match. Plus, they just went through a brutal best of 7 series. If there was any opportunity for Top Flight to beat them, this would be the time. So I was invested in this match, and it was very back and forth, pretty much what you would expect from these guys. Lots of high flying action. And you had Top Flight with the combination power bomb nosedive. Nick Jackson broke up the pin attempt. Crowd was loving it, chanting AEW. Nick Jackson hit the destroyer on Darius, but he kicked out. And then the Bucks, as a tribute to Jay Briscoe, hit a doomsday device, but Dante Martin broke that up. And then Dante Martin sent the Bucks to the outside, went for a dive, but he got caught with super kicks. Looked like it was all over for Top Flight. But then the Bucks missed the BTE trigger. Darius with a roll through, pinned Matt Jackson 1, 2, 3 for the upset victory. And I liked it. I thought it was a good opportunity to put Top Flight over. Like I said, the Bucks went through that brutal best of 7 series. So yeah, to me, it was a good opportunity to put over Top Flight. Don't know if it necessarily means anything for them long term, but hey, they got the win here, so good for them. We then had the Ass Boys, Billy Gunn's kids. I still don't know which one is which. One of them has a really, in my opinion, I'm not a tattoo guy, but not a very good tattoo that's like under his armpit. Not a fan of that. Which Gunn is that has that tattoo? Just not a fan of it personally. They said they will never be embarrassed again by the Acclaimed. And sure enough, the Acclaimed showed up. The Ass Boys wanted the music to be cut. They were yelling. And Max Caster said to shut off their mics, which the people in the back did because everybody loves the Acclaimed. So why not? And they did the rap. Max Caster did his rap. Part of it got censored. I think he said bullshit, which I guess is a no-go at this point. Even though asshole can be said without a censor, bullshit is too offensive to be uncensored on TV now. Kind of silly, but that's TBS, I guess. And Billy Gunn showed up. Things were getting heated, and Billy Gunn was the peacemaker. And he said next week they're going to hash things out. He has 2 words for everybody: family therapy. So there you go. It was a fine segment. It was entertaining, although again, I still don't know which ass boy is which. And I also thought that this feud was over already, but it's still going on. We had Renee Paquette talking to Hangman Adam Page, and he talked about wanting to mend some fences. I guess we'll see what that means. He did not go into any detail. And he did ask how Jon Moxley was doing following their match from last week. And Renee said he'll dust himself, back off. And Page was going to say something else to Renee, but then he just dropped it. So that was that. I guess there's a little bit of intrigue there to see what happens next with Page. Next up, we had Jake Hager versus Ricky Starks. I do not care about Jake Hager. I think the hat gimmick is stupid. To me, like, he has no value in AEW. He's a tall guy. He had a run in WWE, but it's like if he disappeared tomorrow, like would it make any difference? Jericho was on commentary, I guess, to try and draw up some interest in this match. Ricky Starks put on the hat at one point, which angered Jake Hager. You had 2.0. They were out there trying to interfere, but they were unsuccessful. And Ricky Starks picked up the win with the spear. Match was okay, but again, really do not care about Jake Hager. Jericho Appreciation Society tried to attack him afterwards, but he fled, got into the crowd. By the way, like, I think they had about 5,000 people there, which is a pretty decent number, although this was a first-time event in Fresno, so you would hope that they would have more. But man, like it seemed like there weren't that many people there. They had the lights turned way down, like the arena was almost empty. I know they had about 5,000 people there. It did not look like it on TV. It looked like nobody was there. The crowd was live. They were making noise. They were chanting. They had the energy, but like just visually, it looked like nobody was there. So that's something AEW has to work on, because WWE doesn't always draw really big crowds, but a lot of the time it looks like there are a lot of people there. They have everything well lit, and they're able to put people on one side of the arena. But with AEW, like it looked like nobody was there. It looked like the end of WCW, like late 2000, early 2001 WCW, which is not a good look. Like they got to work on that because it's all about perception. If you have a random person tuning into Dynamite and they see like nobody's there, like they're going to think, well, this is some lower end promotion. This is nothing special. But if they see like a well-lit huge crowd, they're going to be like, wow, this is a big league show. Maybe I should give it the time of day. And as far as Fresno goes, Fresno is still a big city. I've been there, like I said at the beginning of the stream. At least 500,000 people live in Fresno, if not more. I think they might have over 1 million people. I mean, you've probably never heard of Fresno if you've never lived in California, but it's a surprisingly large city in the central part of California. I mean, they got a lot of people there. So yeah, just I think that's something AEW needs to work on as far as the visual presentation goes. Some weeks it looks good though, so I'm not sure what the deal is. We had an Adam Cole video package, but he was not on the show this week. And then we had a backstage segment with Chris Jericho, and he was venting about Ricky Starks. It's going to be him and Sammy Guevara against Ricky Starks and Action Andretti on next week's show. Daniel Garcia wanted to be Jericho's partner, but he has to win his match on Rampage. He's either facing Starks or Andretti. I forgot who, but that will be on Friday, so you can check that out if you want to see if Garcia becomes Jericho's new partner. But that's the other thing, too. Like, they're still teasing like Garcia might leave the Jericho Appreciation Society, and it's like they got kind of hot with the angle, but now, like, I feel like I don't care about it. Like, Garcia, is he going to turn against them? Like, at this point, I just don't care that much. Moving on here, we had Bryan Danielson versus Bandido, which technically was a hell of a match. Like, they tore it up. Like, it was back and forth. Danielson sold a lot for Bandido, and Bandido got in a lot of offense, looked really good. Problem was, as I mentioned last week, Bandido was never going to win this match. Like, it doesn't matter how many moves he gets in on Bryan, how much he measures up. like there's no believability here that Bandido's winning when Danielson is all but confirmed to be MJF's opponent at the pay-per-view that's a month and a half away. So yeah, I really wanted to like this match, and I thought it was technically great, but I have to be honest with you guys, I had a tough time getting into this match. And comment here about Bandido. He was really over in Fresno, large Hispanic crowd, and Bryan was actually getting booed quite a bit, and Bryan played up on it. He was mocking Bandido's chant, or not his chant, his taunt, with the gun. And like I said, back and forth, they were trading submission holds, trading chops. Bandido did the Eddie Guerrero taunt on the top rope and hit a frog splash, but Bryan got his knees up. Went for the frog splash. Bryan got his knees up. Bryan put on the label lock, but Bandido got his foot on the rope. And then Bryan started doing the yes kicks, which the crowd chanted C for. And Bryan then hit a jumping knee off the apron to the outside. Bandido, though, made a comeback. He hit this really cool-looking moonsault slam off the top, but could not put away Bryan. He hit the 21 plex, which Bryan was able to kick out of. And then eventually Bryan did pick up the win with the running knee. And then after the match was over, MJF showed up. Well, he was backstage on the big screen, and he cut a promo. He talked about how he's been wearing a mask, and the mask is slowly chipping away, and Bryan's not going to like what he sees at Revolution, because not even a dragon is a match for the monster behind the mask. I mean, it was all right, but I mean, far from MJF's best promo. And of course, his best stuff is when he's out there in front of the crowd. So, the MJF backstage promos to me are never quite as impactful as when he's out there in front of the fans. And I agree with Matthew's comment here. It's like one of the issues with AEW is that the matches, it's pretty obvious who's going to win on a Rampage or Dynamite. And, they always deliver in the ring. The match quality is almost always very strong, but yeah, there's a level of predictability and sometimes a lack of character development where it's hard, at least for me personally, to get invested. Like if you go to an indie wrestling show, it's a different breed because you're there to watch the wrestling, and it's more about the match quality than the characters. You don't really go for the characters, you go for the wrestling. This Dynamite was like an indie wrestling show on national television. I mean, that's basically what it was. Not a whole lot of storyline advancements and not much in the way of soap opera drama. It was more about wrestling. It was a wrestling show. We had Brian Cage interviewed backstage, and he's Bryan Danielson's next opponent. Now, Brian Cage has barely been on TV. He wrestles on AEW Dark for the most part at this stage of the game. So you know where this is going, but they're trying to build him up, and they're trying to do something here with the storyline. MJF had an envelope of money, and he wants Bryan Danielson's arm broken, win, lose, or draw. So maybe it will happen. Maybe Brian Cage will lose and then break Bryan Danielson's arm to give MJF the upper hand. So at least they're trying here to build up some drama between MJF and Danielson. And this is one negative to the pay-per-view being so far away. It's like you still have 5 weeks to go, and it's just moving at a snail's pace. Like I want to get to the match already. I want to see the match. but they're stretching out the storyline because they have so much time to kill. We had Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. And before the match, Paige, or Saraya, I should say, she told Shida to stay in the back and not come out to ringside. Toni and Willow had a handshake, but then after Willow got in some offense and started showboating, Toni did not appreciate that, and Toni slapped her. And then Shida arrived with her kendo stick. And then after the commercial break, by the way, match was, you guessed it, 9:20 to 9:30 time slot. Willow hit the pounce, hit the running cannonball into the corner, but Toni kicked out. And then the plot thickens. Saraya got on the apron, and you had Toni Storm roll up Willow, grab the tights to cheat to win. And then afterwards, Saraya got in the ring and attacked Willow Nightingale, effectively turning heel. So this was a surprise. I was not expecting this. What do you guys think about this heel turn? It definitely felt out of left field, especially when I thought Shida was the one that was going to turn heel. Seemed very random to me, but maybe the feeling is that the AEW fans are starting to resent Saraya a little bit. She's the outsider. She's the WWE star. Same thing with Toni Storm. Shida is one of the AEW originals, and maybe Tony Khan made the call that they gotta go with that storyline. Maybe Mercedes Moné is coming in, and they're going to do like a WWE versus AEW type storyline. I mean, I'll wait and see how this plays out, but I'm intrigued by it. That's for sure. Like I definitely want to see where this goes. Not sure if I like it or I hate it just yet. I'm not going to just crap on it right now. We'll see how it plays out. But Michael Wayne says it's too soon to turn her heel after she was out of action for 5 years and coming back from a career-ending injury just to turn heel after a couple of months. We had Ruby Soho run down to make the save for her friend Willow. And yeah, time will tell if this works out or not. We then had Takeshita backstage interviewed, and he basically said he's going to watch Bryan Danielson's back because he said something in Japanese. Renee Paquette asked for a translation, and he said that MJF is an asshole. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is with him. You know, they got him there, and they're trying to do something with him, and looks like he's going to be helping out Bryan Danielson, which is a pretty good spot for him. We then had the main event of the evening, which was Darby Allin defending the TNT title against former NXT superstar Kushida. Now, I know he does stuff in New Japan and, you know, people like the guy, but again, perception. Your main event of Dynamite is a guy who never really got out of the lower card of WWE developmental. Just saying, like, kind of feels like a flat main event, at least for me personally. I'm sure there's plenty of Kushida diehards and New Japan fans that are like, this is the coolest thing ever. But I'm like, he's not beating Darby Allin. So another match where I thought it was very predictable. Like, Kushida's not winning. But of course, it's a 50-50 match back and forth. You had some LA dojo guys out there, and Kushida was targeting the shoulder. After the commercial break, Darby Allin hit the Scorpion Death Drop, but could not make the pin because his shoulder was hurt. And then Darby, getting a little bit desperate, grabbed the steel chair, placed Kushida in the chair on the outside of the ring, and then tried to jump off the top rope, but Kushida caught him with an arm bar. Referee was counting, so they had to get back in the ring. And then he put on the hoverboard lock. The dojo guys were throwing the towel to Sting, telling him to throw it in the ring. Sting said, "To hell with your towel," and threw it back into the crowd. And then Darby, of course, escaped the hoverboard and picked up the win with the Last Supper. And then after the match was over, they shook hands, and that was the end of Dynamite. So no cliffhanger at the end. All is well. Guys shake hands. No drama. I personally thought it was kind of lackluster. This Dynamite, after a couple of weeks where the shows were great, I thought this was kind of a lackluster show by AEW standards, which means it wasn't a bad show. Wrestling-wise, it was very good, but storyline-wise and just a feeling of urgency, like this show was something you had to be watching, just did not work for me this week. I give it a C+, which is pretty low for me when it comes to AEW ratings. Like, I still thought it was a pretty decent show and totally watchable if you like good wrestling. But I have to tell you guys, honest opinion, I was a little bored with it. So that's my rating for Dynamite this week. Might get some hate, might get some thumbs down for that, but I was certainly not blown away by the show. And I think if you missed it, you're not going to miss a whole lot. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy the recap. I tried to be as positive as possible, but this week just didn't really cut it for me. So maybe next week they're in Kentucky. We'll see what happens then. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Much appreciated. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And I will see you all next time.